hit the button.
All right. Well, I will let you know. Go to restream. Log in. Stuff's going through to Twitch. Yeah, we've got stuff through to Twitch. Let's check the audio. Stuff's going through.
That should be all right.
Yeah, I had to check. It makes me feel better checking.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Marvelous.
Fantastic.
So, good everybody. Welcome to episode 154 of the Brand Nerds podcast with me, TheSuffolkRam.
Skazz.
Welcome to our penultimate podcast of the year. Another year gone soon.
It's hard to believe that we all managed to get through 2020 with all the stuff that we were doing. We've been so busy.
Look, Skazz, just bear in mind, next year's a sequel. This is, and as you know, sequels, the second one usually is more dramatic than the first, and then they go downhill from there.
I was going to say, I'm not looking forward to the third. I'm really not looking forward to the third one.
2025, 2020 versus 2019.
It's like, oh no! I've already told people, I'm like karma-wise, I'm already in debt until like 2024, so I'm not expecting anything for a while.
Oh well, you never know. Perhaps they'll let you go through.
Maybe.
But yeah, it's we buy our Christmas tree tomorrow.
Oh, we put ours up today. We've got a Christmas dino star. We haven't got a star for our Christmas tree because the kids got raggy about it one year because the star wouldn't stay on top of the tree. So we've now got a dinosaur. Just a plastic dinosaur, just hangs on the tree.
Fair enough.
Because it's traditional. It's what you do, right? Everyone has a dinosaur on their tree.
Well, it's your tradition. That's the important thing.
That's it. It's all that's important.
Yeah, it's that phrase. You're making new traditions with your family.
Just imagine that in like another 20 years. So what do you put on top of your tree? Dinosaur.
Perhaps that's becoming a thing, though. This one, like in 100 years' time, they'll go, "Oh, isn't it nice to have the classic dinosaur on the tree?" And they'll go, "Do you know, 100 years ago, they used to put stars on top of their trees?" No, why would they do that?
That's just
how
dumb.
weird.
That is.
How strange. We all know about the Christmas dinosaur story. With that Tyrannosaurus mum who gave birth to the virgin raptor, and all went down from hill from there.
Exactly.
And you had the three wise Carnifex, and it's all went Carnifex is the tyranny from
Hang on a minute, we're mixing things up here.
Yeah, that's how it happened. Look, the world's ending soon. It's all going to get mixed up anyway, as it is. So, the Carnifex were there, the Gene Stealers were there, some Tau were there.
I think you said that to me the other day. She said, "What happens like if we get wiped out by whatever pandemic comes next? The sequel in 2021, right?" She goes, "What happens if an alien race comes to Earth and they find the Marvel Cinematic Universe and they feel that's what Earth was really like?" It's like, wow.
Perhaps that's where we can go wrong all these years. Perhaps like when we look back at other cultures and societies, actually fact we've just been watching like some massive fantasy saga.
It's just some dodgy film. The Romans didn't actually kill each other in the Colosseum. It was just acting. But we just lost that page.
It was one. Yeah. The first page of that book was, "To my darling wife, any references to people living or dead is purely coincidental." It's one of those sort of things. Copyright.
And there you
go. Yeah. That's something. It makes you think, Skazz. It makes you think. That's next time. Anyone out there, next time you meet Evening Annie, next time you meet a historian, just ask them that question: how do we know these aren't all just some massive? How do we know that Pompeii wasn't actually a theme park? How do we know?
See, you're never going to know. Because we lost that page.
We have.
We lost that scroll. We lost that.
One day, they'll uncover a flyer advertising.
Oh, no. We're going to have to rewrite all the books. So we can't do that. Oh,
terrible. We've turned Pompeii into some sort of tourist attraction. It used to, and wasn't a big city. It used to be a tourist attraction. The shame.
No. And that's what happens when you don't fact check.
Donald.
Fake news.
Oh well, that's why you like me. How have you been, Skazz?
Somehow still alive, mate. Busy trying to game. I haven't. Although my PC hasn't blown up yet. I figure I might as well update people. It hasn't blown up yet. It's been weeks.
That's good.
No blue screens.
That's good.
I haven't had any mental breakdowns trying to fix it because I haven't needed to.
Yeah. I'm thinking of upgrading mine and putting some new more RAM in it.
Oh, what are you doing that needs more RAM?
Well, probably After Effects.
You are.
Yeah, After Effects currently uses. I've allowed it to use 12 gigs of RAM, and it still goes. I want more.
Oh, it always does.
So,
you could literally load your machine full of RAM, and it'll go. This ain't enough.
Yeah,
it's just just flat text on a black background. Give me more RAM.
Yeah. Well, the great thing is the RAM I have in my machine, because my machine's actually now quite old now. It's actually about I built this in 2016. So the RAM is now dirt cheap. I can get like 64 gigs of RAM, decent quality RAM for like 150 quid.
Yeah, 'cause you're on DDR3, aren't you?
4.
Oh, you're on DDR4.
Yeah, I'm on DDR4.
Oh, okay.
It was when I bought it. It was quite high. It was when I made it. It was actually a fairly high spec machine when it was made, and I bought it with like the more newer stuff, so it'd be a future proofing into it. But now that RAM is cheap, so I might just buy 64 gigs of RAM and just chuck that in and take the 16 out, put 64 in.
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Can't hurt, can it? Can't hurt, can it? Then I'll get that, chuck the old 3090 in there as well. You know, just that minor upgrade like that, and we'll be fine.
Yeah, sure. If you could ever get one.
Yeah. Oh, I know some. I know. All you need to do is how you get a 3090. You find someone on the Twitters or the YouTubes or someone who's bragging about owning one. Find out where they live, and then one evening, knock them over the head, and take it out of the machine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I believe that's the current method for getting them.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the old joke of Land Rovers. If you want to get a spare part for a Land Rover, just find someone else who owns one and just go over there one evening with a socket set.
Just take it. I need that. Why not? Although I ain't gonna lie, I have looked at AMD's new graphics cards, and I'm like, oh, I could do with one of those. And I was like, I don't really play enough games to justify it at this point. But
so yeah, well, constant graphics cards for me at the moment. Every game I'm playing. Even new games, I'm playing at max, no problem.
Yeah, pretty much same here.
So until the situation gets it where they can't do it, then there's no point in buying a new graphics card.
My groove is that if I have to go lower than like 900p, like 900p high medium, to get 60 FPS, then I'm stretching it. I need to get a new.
Well,
CPU.
I'm obviously awkward because I'm an ultra wide monitor, so. I'm 2560 by 1080.
Yeah.
So I was a bit awkward, but I say as long as it can play about high, then actually, what's the point? What's the point?
Well, yeah, because I mean, in the grand scheme of things, because have we not had this discussion before that because of console gaming, you know, because of PlayStation 4 and Xbox One being kind of low end PCs, even graphics on like medium, which is say like what the consoles we playing them on, have been made to look really, really good now.
Yeah,
you know, it's usually just like lighting tweaks and stuff like that they add in the higher settings. So it's not like back in the day when we were playing like Crysis 1 or Far Cry 1, and if you went anything under Ultra, it looked like a pasty. You know?
Yeah.
Is that a character or a stick figure? Like, is that a fucking scarecrow coming at me, or you know, a heavily armored bloke? I can't really tell because I don't have the graphics card to turn the settings up, you know, above, I don't know, 640 by 480 low.
Yeah, 256 quality graphics. You know, 256
15 FPS. It's as good as it's gonna get.
Yeah,
I was as good as it's gonna get, and then just
And then you think maybe I should upgrade.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, when it gets to that point, when I can smell the solder joints on my graphics card drying out and cracking, then I need to get a new graphics card.
Yeah,
but
when I can hear my graphics card from the other side of the house, then I know I need to get a new graphics card.
I remember that with the 8800 GT. The NVIDIA 8800 GT, I used to love that card so much, but as soon as you played any game over medium on it, like after a certain time period, woohoo, jet engine taken.
Yeah. I would say it's one thing I do like about this PC case. It's so quiet. I mean, I don't use water cooling. I use air cooling because I don't trust water. Don't trust water. It's dangerous. It kills you. Everybody who's ever drunk water has died. Now, I don't trust water. I trust air cooling, air all the way. This PC, when I built it, it's so quiet. It's lovely. When it's running, I clocked the other day. I got my phone out. It was running. It was 60 decibels. It was running at. The dogs outside barking were louder than it. It's a lovely case. So
I will say my machine's a bit on the. I wouldn't say it's quiet, but it's not loud either. I mean, I've had machines way louder than this, and considering this is the most powerful PC I've had in a long time,
I can actually hear when I sit here because I've got my other old machine has been used as a file serve, and it's sat sort of in the corner. I don't know if you can. If you people at home, people audio won't be able to enjoy this, but anyone on the visual thing will possibly just be able to make out the edge of my sofa in here. My machine is actually there's a little black blob just behind the sofa. That's my old machine. I can hear that in this ear. I can hear that not over, but I can hear that in the background. Even with this running, which is only like 3 feet away from me.
Oh, there
that's
you go.
That's just a noise difference between that's so much louder. So
I also that's actually probably something I should mention, that I say that I can hear my PC, but then I am literally my knees resting on the case, so there's no way I couldn't hear the machine. You know what I mean? But joys, PCs.
Joys of computers, yeah.
I love PC. I do.
Yeah,
I don't game on it much, but I love it.
So that's the thing. I thought myself. There's no reason to upgrade PCs as much as they used to in the old days. No. I just sit there. I mean, I think myself, perhaps I should get myself a new machine. I thought, actually, why would I bother? There's no real, apart from the difference to the RAM, there's no real reason to buy a new machine.
Well, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I mean, my old Linux gaming PC before I built this one, the one that kind of sat between Alcatraz, my old gaming PC that we used to use for the live streams, and my other stuff. It was an Intel Core i5 2400, so an old Sandy Bridge chip, ancient chip, which came out around the same time as the Phenom 2, which was like 2011 or something like that, 2011, 2012, maybe a bit earlier than that, I don't know. So old chip, that paired with a GTX 1050 Ti. And you could play most modern games. I mean, at the time, I think Doom 2016 was a pretty hardcore game at the time. You could play that on the highest graphics settings on that old rig, no problem at all.
Yeah,
and you could buy that setup for about £200. Now you can get an Intel Core i5 4th gen chip, and then pair it up with a more powerful, say, 10 or 20 series graphics card for about the same price, and you're still playing most games, highest settings, or as close as matters. All right, you're not going to get ray tracing and stuff like that, but for the majority of games, they're still going to run fucking flawlessly for a couple $100.
Yeah. So, now, what is your opinion? I know I've read the articles that say it makes no difference, but from the OCD, I mean, what was your opinion of pairing GPU and CPU manufacturers?
Don't care.
Yeah, see, the OCD part of me means I like them to both be the same manufacturer. Don't know why. I like them to be. If I have an Intel machine, I like to have an NVIDIA graphics card. I like them to be the same.
Sure. Well, okay. So
I know it makes absolutely sod all difference.
I understand that, but okay. So I will agree with you on this front. If I am buying a laptop, and this was up until like AMD knocked it out of the park with their new AMD laptop chips, right? Beforehand, so a couple of years ago, if you'd have asked me this question, I would have said, if you want a desktop, in my opinion, you go AMD all the way. If you want a laptop, you go Intel, NVIDIA, no questions asked. There was in laptop form, there was nothing you could buy that would top Intel, NVIDIA. That's changing now, but that's the only time I'd probably say, got to pair them up kind of thing. No, because if you said to me, I've just gone and bought an Intel laptop, like an Intel Core i7, and it's got an AMD graphics processor in it, from a generation or two ago, I'd have said, dude, throw that fucking thing in the bin. It's crap. Like, you can't game on that. Or you can't realistically work on that. Unless the software is hardcore optimized, you can't work on that. That's why traditionally my laptops have always been Intel Nvidia. But when it comes to my desktops, I go balls deep AMD. If someone offered me a 3090 to put into my PC right now, I wouldn't go, it doesn't match my AMD processor. I'd take it.
Yeah.
I would rather have, but I don't really care. Like, there's no real benefit to me. Just, as you say, it's like the OCD thing in you that's like, I like having, I've got an AMD GPU in here, I've got an AMD CPU in here, I'll probably put another AMD GPU in here. But then that's because I find that this machine, the one that I have here, and Alcatraz, where I was going to be using open source drivers, that's AMD all the way. So there you go.
There you go. Like I say, actually, nowadays it makes no difference what brand you have. You can mix them out, no problem. But just the inner part of me likes them to be the same.
Sure.
So, anyway, Skazz, games that we've been playing. And this one is a we've been playing. And you'll be able to enjoy this in a couple of weeks' time.
In a couple of weeks' time.
Yes. So, we've been playing.
We were here 2.
Spelled TOO.
Because, if anyone remembers, we played We Were Here. And that was the like a co-op puzzle game. Where
it was our first games night game.
Yeah, Ram would play as like a game master. And I would have to follow. Do you remember the game Nightmare, the TV show Nightmare?
Yeah.
Where you'd have the 3 people going, mate, walk forward. Fucking left. Oh, you fell into a pit of spikes and now you're dead. To the little peasant with the helmet on that couldn't see anything or whatever. Basically, that same groove. Ram gave me instructions. I would feed things back from my room that was completely separated from him, and then we'd have to try and figure out the puzzles. Well, in that game, there are 4 people walking through the snow, and then they find like a castle.
Yeah.
The first game, you play as 2 people. The follow-up game, you play as the other 2 people who stumbled across the castle.
Yeah.
How did you find it, Ram? What did you think?
So I enjoyed it. It's definitely hard. I would definitely say it's harder than We Were Here. I would say the puzzle difficulty definitely in the first. I would say the earlier puzzles were harder than the later puzzles. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. So We Were Here. You basically, as Skazz says, you have a class. You're either the librarian or the peasant. I was librarian, Cav's peasant. In this one, you have was it librarian and explorer? In this one, you're the lord and the peasant, and same principle. The lord is sort of like the person, as you say, who can oversee if the peasant not.
You basically have like manuals and maps and other bits and bobs.
There's a little bit more back and forth because there's several bits where you have to give me instructions. It's a bit more balanced, whereas in the first one it was very much you describe what you can see, and then I have to work it out and give you we work up between us, but generally I have the answer somewhere, and then tell you what to do. And there's one bit at the end where basically it's down to you to save me, otherwise I get killed by a weird marionette. I
found that puzzle to be really hard, by the way. The one where we had to put on that stage show.
Yes.
To me, that was one of the hardest puzzles in that game. Because I had no idea what I was doing. Nothing was actually labelled, and so it was just by sheer luck that I managed to actually remember what some of those things were as well after we'd started kind of fiddling around with it.
That's why pen and paper comes in handy.
Man, I'm too poor for pens. I've got a PC. I just got like a marker pen and just started writing on my screen.
Yeah. I mean, the puzzle in this one, We Were Here definitely a lot in some ways stuff. I mean, the dice net puzzle.
Ugh.
That was painful.
I'm going to have nightmares of that puzzle because the rest of the puzzles were pretty simple, but that one, my God.
I think that's the only puzzle in the game, though, where you're actually against you're going to die.
Yeah.
Because we were here, there was, 3 bits, weren't there? There was the bit where you're going to drown,
Yeah.
the bit where you're get frozen to death, and the bit where I was killed by a marionette. And we were here too. The dice net puzzle is the only puzzle where you can die. Basically,
Not true, because there was that one where I was in the caged room and we had to do that spinny bit puzzle, and then I had to feed you the next thing because there was fire under the floor below me.
Oh, that's true. Yes, I forgot about that one. That was right at the end.
But that was that had a lot of time. Like you could have just sat there all day twiddling your thumbs.
It was only because we didn't know what was going on to that last bit when we worked it out. It was only when we were getting closer. You suddenly go, "Oh yeah, I'm about to die."
Yeah, that's it. Like we were right there at the end of it. So I mean, we must have been doing that puzzle for a good few minutes. It's like, oh, hang on a minute, I'm in trouble here.
Yeah,
you know, there was no rush in that puzzle at all. No urgency at all.
They obviously, I suppose that's the hard part of puzzle games, isn't it? Is judging how long it'll take people to A, figure them out, and B, then solve it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like the dice one, the dice net puzzle, we'll probably better say what it was. So, will you tell what could you see from your point of view? What could you see?
So, as I'm running up a flight of stairs, like a spiral staircase, so I would then be blocked off, and the stairs behind me would start to fall away, and then I would just have like a dice net on the wall. So it's basically a T-shaped net, and it would have like shapes on it facing in different directions, and then I would have to relay that information to RAM.
Yeah, if people don't know what a dice net is,
imagine a crucifix split off into sections.
It's a 6-sided dice flattened, basically.
Yeah. And then each segment would have a different shape on it. So it could have like a pentagon, a triangle, it could have a compass point on it. And then depending on which faces were parallel to each other, you could then figure out when you put it together what the dice would look like. And then Ram would have to go and find the dice. And
so I had about 8 dices in a room, and I could pick them up and rotate them around and look at them. And you had to describe the net to me, and then I had to work out which dice tallied up with that net.
Yeah.
And then put them on a center pedestal that basically passed it. If you got it wrong,
then the stairs, you'd lose like 4 or 5 stairs. They would just, instead of fading away, they would quickly just right out from under your feet be gone.
Yeah, and not just that, I would actually, there'd be like, you couldn't see, it says like a portcullis would raise around the dice and stop me accessing them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so for about 5 seconds, I couldn't do anything. I literally was locked out. So that's a double whammy. Not only do I get locked out, but that's what seems to be a little bit unfair. It's like, this is a double whammy. Not only am I locked out, but you lose a load of stairs.
Yep. There's literally nothing. You were both frozen and effectively like, well, I'm going to have to accept my fate right here. And it was sometimes you could get right up to the top, stuff it up twice, and then you were done. So that one was quite harsh, I found.
Yeah. We got quite good towards the end of communicating very quickly what a dice looked like.
Yeah. A skill I never thought I'd need in life, but...
No. So, I mean, what you couldn't see, and I've actually still got them. Where are they? We have got, these are my Post-it notes that I was drawing as you were describing the dice. I was quickly drawing Post-it notes with the dice on it. So I didn't have to keep saying to you, which way is that triangle pointing again? Mm-hmm. So, I had lots of drawings.
So we basically compass pointed the first few points on a net.
Yeah.
So then we'd say the triangle. So each shape would face a specific way too. So you could say the base of the triangle is like to the south side of the first square or whatever, or like it's parallel to another one of its kind. To the 2 bases. It was weird. We were managing to blot out these die pretty quick, but damn, it was. I
think there was so many layers to the puzzle, wasn't there? It wasn't just it's a dice net. Here's what it looks like. Oh, by the way. Not only do you have to take into account the position on the dice net, you also tend to count the orientation. Oh, by the way, if you get that wrong, you'll get locked out. The person will lose those stairs. There's just lots of layers of extra complexity added to it.
Yep.
It felt, actually, I'd say, it actually felt slightly over-engineered as a puzzle. It felt like it should have been, in my opinion, the first one. It should have been like a different stage. The first one should have been just simple. Here are shapes. You're good. You know, perhaps circles, diamonds, something that's sort of symmetrical, and then add complexity as it went along, rather than repeating the same thing. Because it was 3 steps, but they're the same steps every time. I think they could have done. It would have been nice if they did it like simple, medium, and hard. Would be the one where you have all the directions taken into account of.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was a stressful one. I think it took us nearly half an hour to get through that one.
Really?
Yeah, I've got the video footage to prove it.
Insanity, mate.
Yeah,
absolute insanity.
Yeah,
that was easily the longest puzzle in the entire game, and yet in the grand scheme of things, when you look at it, people would say, "Oh, describing a dice. How hard can that be?" It's very realistically a simple puzzle, straightforward, but as you say, because of the way that it actually worked, the way it was engineered, it was actually quite tricky. Because if you could get right up to the top, stuff it, and then have to start the whole thing again.
Yeah. It's tricky, particularly and I think to always forget actually the verbal component of it, where you're talking over the rate. We were doing voice chat obviously through Discord, but if you're having to use the radio to communicate that, fucking hell, that would have been even worse, I think. But because we were able to, it was definitely a lot tougher for. I would say that was a tough one. I mean, the other ones took us a while to figure out, but they were fairly straightforward. The puzzles do tend to come down to describe something and get the right sequence, is what generally the puzzles tend to come down to. But it's still fun. It's neat when there's 2 of you working together, particularly when you can't see what the other person can see.
Yeah.
And it's neat for me because obviously I go through the video footage I'm editing together now to make our Christmas special games night. And I can see now what you can see. And when you describe stuff, I go, oh, yeah, I see why you described that. It was completely different to how I visualized it when you described it to me first time.
Sure.
I bet if you look at what I could see, it would be the same for you. It looked completely different to what you thought I could see. Because I think the tapestry was quite hard. But
that was quite tricky because the way that I was initially describing it, I was like, oh, hang on a minute. Could he be talking about this one? Because this puzzle isn't going to the next point. It's like, and I will say actually, when we had to solve that puzzle that was on the floor in the tapestry room, that was horrible for me because I could not see.
Yeah.
Because I'm shade blind, I could not see the shapes on the floor unless I lit them up.
To be fair, Skazz, I watched that video footage back. I couldn't see him either.
Oh, fantastic! So it wasn't just me being a blind old fart. Then.
No,
I could not see a fucking thing. So until you were like, right, we've got this first point, I will give you directions from here, I was stuffed otherwise. If you'd have literally said, do the fish shape one, do that shape one, I'd have been like, I can't see them. I can't do it.
That's why I was quite pleased when we went through and we realised that they were in the same order. Because that made our lives easier then. Because I could just say to you, right, go 3 positions left, 4 positions right, and just back and forth, and I could talk you through it.
Yep.
That made life a lot easier when that was the case.
Yeah.
So it was but very neat game. If you've got a friend, definitely recommend it. So We Were Here is completely free. You can download that right now for free. We Were Here 2 is, I think, only a few pounds. It's not expensive. And then there's We Were Here Together, which is the third one. Which we'll need to do at some point. Perhaps we'll do it on our games night anniversary.
Yeah, why not?
In June time, June time.
Long time ago.
Yeah, we'll do it as a games night anniversary. So, but yeah, We Were Here good. Bit of chat stuff. And he says the machine he's using right now has got an Athlon 2 and an NVIDIA GT 640, tripping my OCD immediately.
I mean, straight there, though. I mean, that's a perfectly solid emulation machine.
Yeah.
Like, hardcore.
Yeah.
And there are still some PC... I mean, like, when I when I was looking to build a small form factor Linux machine, my graphics card of choice was an NVIDIA 750 GTX 750 Ti. Because I could get it in low profile. It was a low profile case. And it wasn't particularly powerful. I mean, the 1050 Ti was like double the power when that finally came out. But I mean, it was good enough to play quite a few games if you didn't mind cutting a few corners here and there.
Yeah, it's not bad. So there's nothing wrong with mixing. There's nothing absolutely mechanically wise. There's absolutely nothing wrong with mixing brands.
No, for sure.
It feels wrong to me. It just feels wrong.
It feels dirty.
But yeah, Real 2, good recommendation.
Yeah, I like that one. I liked those. At first, I was a bit concerned when we played the first one. I was really worried, and then when we got into a groove, it was actually really, really fun. And same with with the second one, we went into the first puzzle. And I was a bit like, oh, I don't know if this is gonna work. You know, we hit hurdles pretty quick. And it's like, oh, now we'll get into the groove. We got into the groove and we just steamrolled it, with the exception of that stupid net.
Yeah, I think puzzle games, to make puzzle games fun, they need to be so that when you go and sim, you need to be able to work out pretty quickly what you need to do. And then the fun, that's a game where you go and you think, I have no idea what to do. That's when it becomes frustrating. When you know what to do, but then the puzzle becomes the challenge around that, that's when it becomes fun. I think there are some puzzle games which go, I mean, sometimes there's also that thrill of, I don't know what to do here, I can't figure out, and all of a sudden it just clicks, and you go, that makes sense. But when you're playing with somebody else, that it needs to be something that you can figure out pretty quickly between you. And that's just a matter of timing or communication, so forth. And yeah, they did a neat little job. So yeah, we'll definitely pick up the next one later on.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Right, well, I've been playing. Last week we discussed Life is Strange and how it wasn't your sort of cup of tea.
No.
And
which is odd because it's a time travel, time manipulation game, which is usually my groove. But I don't like the setting and I don't like the characters.
Yeah, exactly. It's high schoolish drama type setting, which means that if you don't like something, you really are screwed, basically. So, and the thing about these sort of like adventure games, if you don't like the characters, you're not going to like the game.
No,
because they are all about the characters.
Yep.
So it is sort of that sort of issue.
I must say that Life is Strange, the characters I remember finding really annoying weren't as annoying this time round, but still nothing clicked with me. So
did you get past episode 1, or did you just get through? I know you said you try it. Did you get past episode 1?
I got past episode 1, and then I got to it. So I did that in two streams. I was like, oh, this ain't too bad. And then I got to episode 2, and then I was like, you know what? I really can't be bothered because I don't like the characters. Like, I don't like them. I don't care. Like, straight away, as soon as you've got, like, you know, the jock guy beating up the nerdy kid and the school girls, like, there's a group of popular girls being bitchy to another group of girls. I was like, this is fucking dumb.
It does. I don't know how true. See, that it does tickle the stereotypes that you see in all American.
No, it's true of school.
Yeah,
it's hardcore true of school. I've been there.
Yeah, see, I didn't go to school, so
yeah, I've been there. And that's part of the reason why it doesn't interest me, because I'm just like, yeah, high school sucked.
Yeah,
you know, high school and because these are all like toffee-nosed little bastards going to a private school too.
Yeah.
So that I appreciate that even less.
But do you know the fact that you could torment your main bully? You could really torment her several times throughout the game. You can torment her so many times.
See, I've never been one for, you know, it's like, you know, get mad, get even kind of thing. I didn't torment her at all.
Oh.
I just didn't. Oddly enough, because the Life is Strange really does like to make you second guess your decisions. And I think that, so in a couple of cases, I actually did I rewound time and was like, nah, I probably shouldn't do that. It's a bit of a dick thing to do. I kind of wish I'd have stuck with my first choices, because then they would have been more different to what everyone else kind of went for. Because no matter what you choose, the characters are like, oh, I don't know if I should have done that. It's like, well, you shouldn't be manipulating time anyway, you dippy cow. So
the trouble with all these adventure games and this is a fundamental issue with the genre, and is that you're going to you start at A, you're going to end up at Z.
Yep.
And you will end up at Z no matter what. Now, you may go there A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or you may go there A, B, G, H, J, K, but you're going to end up at Z eventually. So there's usually only a few key points that allow you to make their big differences, and that has the effect. There's usually some more sub points there, and some games get a bit more involved with it, but generally, the story beats are going to happen no matter what. There's very little. You're not going to have a game where you can go completely off the rails. You might perhaps get slightly different endings.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, if it's an episodic game, they need to know where you are episode. Because you imagine the horror of like, okay, well, at the end of episode 1, the players go one of 2 completely different ways. Okay, so that means episode 2, we've got to have 2 completely separate storylines. So you've got to try and pull them back together again. In which case, players will say, well, what's the point of going 2 separate ways? Or we've got to go, well, we'll keep these 2 separate storylines. We've got to do too many games. You can't do it.
I will say this wide. I don't think that this kind of game fits very well for the episodic gameplay. I would have much preferred a Steins Gate approach where I've got 30 hours plus of content. It's been written and it's ready to go, and then I can cause chaos. Yeah. Rather than the developers then having to try and rein me back in after I've become a complete bastard in, say, the first or second episode, just so that they can kind of get their story out there.
And Life is Strange, one of its most interesting things about it, but also one of its big detriments, actually, is the time mechanic is neat. But the fact that you can actually rewind and redo your decisions, all that basically ends up doing is basically you go back and you try every situation, you get the optimal one.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you realise, actually, you're just going to, apart from there's a few key bits where basically you can't do that. They feel out of time. They feel like weird.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels a bit straight. It was a neat idea, and it's fun, the idea of being able to rewind time, do that. But at the same time, you sort of shoot yourself in the foot. I mean, I like Life is Strange. I put out there, I enjoyed it. I got to know the characters. I got into it. I quite liked it. There's some bits I didn't like about it. I did think it was predictable. I did think that where it was going was sort of predictable. But I first did for last time. I pretty much played for the whole game. I think I did actually. I actually sat there one morning, started playing. I just carried on and muddled my whole way through the entire game in pretty much one day.
Sure.
I really got into that game, really into it. But it has got its problems basically come around that the mechanic of it basically ruins any choices you make moot.
Yeah. Because
you can just work around them. But anyway, I'm playing Life is Strange 2.
Now, I've seen a little bit about this one, but go on.
So, firstly, the thing about Life is Strange 2 is it has nothing really at all to do with Life is Strange 1. There are some nods to it, in the sense that you'll come one of your characters at some point. You'll visit on the tertiary location of somewhere where the first one was set. You will visit, but not. You're not even going to town. You'll like to go and see it in the distance type setting. And there are a couple of mentions where one of the people you read about attended. I think is it Blackdale High?
Mate, I haven't got a fucking clue what. I don't even remember the lead character's name.
The private school in Life is Strange.
Yeah.
There's a side character who you basically read an article about who attended that school. That's basically the links to it. The only sort of running theme is Life is Strange is about a girl who suddenly finds she's got some weird power and doesn't know why. And it's never explained. In the whole game, it's never explained why she suddenly got this timeline mechanic. It's never explained. It's never understood. It's just she got it. And that's it. That's all you ever hear about. Life is Strange 2 does the same thing. A character gains an ability that it's never... And as far as I'm aware, it's never explained well. I mean, so where I'm at the moment, I'm now nearly in episode 4. There's 5 episodes, so I've nearly finished it. But so far, there's no explanation to why this character's got this ability. So I'm going to give spoilers for the sort of first probably hour and a half of episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
So just put it out there. These are the spoilers that's out there to be aware of it. So Life is Strange 1, you are playing as a character called Sean. So the game starts, actually, let's rewind about the start of the game. So the game starts, this sort of like cold open. You're basically watching dash cam from a police car, and he's just driving around doing his patrol, and he pulls over and he suddenly shouts, "Oh, I need help, backup required." He goes out, you hear him having an argument with somebody, you hear a gunshot, and then also there's a massive explosion. You see him come flying across the screen. Cut to black, fade to black. That's your little cold open. You then play as Sean, who's and once again, he's a teenager. He's getting off the school bus. He's talking about going to a party later with his friends. So far, so similar to Life is Strange 1. You think this is going in the same sort of route. You're playing a teenager, you know. Unlike Max, the first one, he is a bit more popular. You know, he's not sort of the outcast. You know, he's got a number of friends. He's not I don't want to say the loser, but he's not the outcast.
Mm-hmm.
And that was but he's not a top of the range, grade A jockey. He's just a middle of the road, quite average student.
Yeah.
Type person. So you play him. He's not going to party, and you basically sort of have to go get stuff party. You meet his father. You meet his little brother Daniel. Chat to him and find his dad. His lot younger. His father's 8 years younger than him, who's 9 years old, so he's 17. Brother's 8 years younger than him. And all is going well. And he's talking about going out to this party. He says he's going to Skype one of his friends. He starts Skyping her. His brother, at this point, is set just before Halloween. His brother's made up a costume and tried to show it to him. And he's like, saying, "I'm not interested. I'm talking to my friend. You go away. I'm not interested in talking to you at the moment." As big brothers do, and to their younger siblings, as they do. He hears a commotion outside, and he sees his brother has made having an eye with the next door neighbour. When he goes out there, what's happened was his brother's made some fake blood using like food dye and cornstarch and syrup and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he's managed to cover this other guy's shirt with it all. And they're basically having a bit of an argument. And it seems very straight, seems very sort of minor. Unfortunately, things start to escalate. Sean and this other guy get into a fight. He pushes this guy, just as he sort of like pushes this guy over, this guy falls on the back, hits a rock and does his back in and starts crawling around the floor. At that point, a police officer turns up. And he looks down, he just sees this guy covered in blood.
Yeah.
And he basically starts sort of threatening, sort of like telling the guy, like, put your hand behind your head, get down. Their father comes out and tries to escalate the situation. The officer panics and shoots him.
Yeah.
At which point, his 9-year-old brother does something and basically creates some massive explosion that basically flattens the yard, throws the policeman off, throws the car off. So you wake up, you've seen what your brother's done, and you suddenly realise, shit. Because it's also worth knowing these guys are Hispanic. Mm-hmm. His brother, their mother was white, his father was Hispanic. So, and it's set in 2016 as well. That's also a point. It's definitely tapping into the sort of zeitgeist of the time. Mm-hmm. So you've got an officer who shot like ethnic minority. He's been killed. His brother's there, and his brother realizes this does not look good for us. So he grabs his younger brother and says, "We've got to go," and they leg it. And that's basically the game. You're basically following their journey as they're on the run from the cops, from the law, because they know it looks bad. Police officer is dead. Their father's dead from a gunshot. They have no explanation. No one understands how his brother's, what's happened. They just know a cop's dead, and they're basically being treated as suspects as cop killers, basically.
Yeah.
And he knows this, and he's got to try and basically what then becomes basically I'm a father simulator. So because you're basically you also in a frustrated position where you've got to not only look after your younger brother, you've got to basically mentor him. As we discover, he has more and more of these powers where he's able to control things and basically have telekinesis. And you have to basically mentor him along the way. And because he's a 9-year-old kid, I mean, you think the power, getting a 9-year-old kid, that sort of destructive power, it's not a great situation to be in, really. It's a hard one to be in because 9-year-olds they're smart, but they're still emotional. They still haven't got that sort of
For sure.
So
they haven't got any of their coping mechanisms in place yet.
Yeah, and impulse control is not as it should be. So you're in a really difficult situation, and every episode of the game is basically following these guys' paths. Their plan is they're going to go to, as his father's from Mexico, and he owns some land in Mexico. So their plan is basically they're going to cross the border to Mexico and flee. That's their plan. Or that's Sean's plan. I mean, it's not a great plan, but he's saying he has no idea what he's doing. He's just the best he could come up with at the time.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't really know how to survive in the world. He's got basically all his wits about him. He's not a trained survivor, so he's taking his brother to out into the wilderness, and he doesn't really know what he's doing. But he's got to act like he does because you can or not. Because you've got the opportunity basically with your brother. You can either be supportive, and, sort of try to sort of nurture a bit, or you can be like an absolute arsehole to him if you really want to, and blame him for everything, and all goes to pot. And he does remember that sort of thing. So the first episode sort of follows their initial escape. Second episode follows. So each of these episodes there's like a small time jump in between, which is how they sort of get around the A to Z problem, because they go, well, between episode 1 and episode 2, a lot of shit happened, and now they're here. And they can sort of get around the sort of issues where your choices, because they can sort of I want to say a lot of time jumps. I mean, we're talking, some cases it's days, some cases it's months jumping between each episode.
Mm-hmm.
So episode 1 is basically them with the first sort of initial bits into the wilderness. Episode 2 is they've sort of got their routines in place. They're starting to sort of learn how to survive. They find what they think is a safe haven. And it goes well for some other time for a while. Episode 3, they basically have to get money, so it's basically where they end up working to earn money because you can't just. The guy had $40 in his pocket when he ran away. That's all he had to try and escape and get out of there. So it's episode 3 about basically earning some money so you can get away and escape. And episode 4, which I'm playing for at the moment, is what happens when more people find out about his brother's powers and what he can do. So I think what actually makes it more interesting in Life is Strange 1 is that the stakes are higher. In Life is Strange 1, the stakes aren't really anything. There are no real high stakes. I mean, yes, you've got the people disappearing, being murdered, but that's actually in the background for most of the game. It's basically about rekindling a relationship. Is what this is actually, the stakes are high. These guys, they get caught, they've had it. His brothers are certainly going to go to prison for life. Even though he didn't do anything. He didn't kill that cop. As far as everybody's concerned, they've run away. Policeman's dead. He's going down. He knows he's going down. Like I said, the game very, very, very heavily riffs off the sort of 2016 time, we had the Donald Trump election. One of the characters mentions you're the reason. It says to you, you're the reason we're going to build that wall.
Yeah.
It's they played, and how the sort of rise of sort of racism. When I say rise of racism, it's always there, but that sort of came more into the limelight. It plays on that a bit more because they are both obviously Hispanic kids. So it's and they made some good people along the way, made some bad people along the way, but it's a really I personally have enjoyed it. I would say it's better than Life is Strange 1 because it's just there's a bit more jeopardy involved. You do feel like you are okay. Everything he's doing is just that bit on the edge of riskiness. Where he's not working for anything that's technically legal. And if he got caught, he could actually end up in worse situations. So everything he's doing is a worse situation he could possibly be in. He's just trying he's trying his best.
Sure.
And his brother's gay every time. His brother gets stronger and stronger and stronger and more powerful, and he doesn't really know what to do. As no one what would you do in that situation? When your brother can sort of crush somebody and make him explode just by sort of thinking about it. That's a bit of a scary place to be in that situation. So I found myself sympathizing with characters a lot more. I found myself interested, so I found it enjoyable. Also worth mentioning, there's actually I won't say they called it a bit of like a demo for it, but it's more like a bit of an interest thing. There's a game you can download for free on Steam. It's called The Amazing Adventures of Captain Spirit. And it's sort of like it was used almost like as a prequel to the game, sort of well, not prequel, like a demo of the game. The show people sort of it's like different sort of what it's going to be like. But the character you're following is actually a side character who turns up later on. And he's quite important to episode 2. And when you play episode 2, it actually says at the start, have you played this other game yet? If you have, we strongly recommend you do. It's free. Download it, play it, and then come back to episode 2 once you have.
Mm-hmm.
So I would suggest if you're going to play it, play that one as well, at least before you do episode 2. Because it does tie in quite heavily with episode 2. But I found it really neat. I mean, it's your usual adventure game. You know, do a sort of minor puzzle, talk to people, character-driven storyline affair. But I just found it a lot more engaged. I found it's definitely a lot more interesting storyline than Life is Strange 1.
Fair enough. I'll give you that. From what I saw of Strange 2, I didn't like that either, to be honest.
Okay.
But
what was your dislike about it?
It's going to sound really stupid just how horribly over the top it was. It seemed like a really cheesy, horrible B movie. You know, kids are running away, but look, all the adults are trying to stop the kids from doing anything because, oh my god, there's kids out there, and it turns out that they're not actually doing it because they're nice people, they're actually nasty pieces of work too. Child fucking locked in a room, fucking, you know, go and chase that kid because they're shoplifting, thieving bastards or whatever. It's like, just seemed like some shit you'd seen in a crappy 80s kids film.
I don't know. Was that a actual gameplay you're watching? Or was that like a trailer, but you're watching?
No, it was a stream. It was a stream.
No, that's not how it came across to me when I played it. I didn't feel crappy speed movie when I played it. That's for certain.
I really didn't like it, but then I don't like the first one either.
No, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm enjoying it. I'm probably going to finish playing it after we do the finish podcast. I'm probably going to finish playing it.
Yeah, for sure.
So
get it done.
I will do. Right. Well, apparently we have got some more chat, and you'll like this, Skazz. Want to become famous? Buy followers, primes, and viewers on hdclick.ru. So there you go. We can buy bigfollowers.com. There you go.
No.
Yeah. No.
That's the new common bot on Twitch.
Yeah. Thanks for thinking of us, though. It's appreciated.
It's fantastic. You get like 50 of those every stream now. It's so great. There's probably more bots on Twitch now than there are actual content creators.
I'm pretty sure, Skazz, that's true of all online services.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that most people you encounter online aren't real.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, even the ones who seem quite sensible, I'm pretty sure they don't exist. I mean, have you seen Annie in the flesh? I never have. Just saying.
You're saying that Annie's a bot?
I think he might be.
That wouldn't surprise me. Annie, are you a bot?
He might be. If he says beep boop, we know it's problem. You see, he's keeping quiet now, so that proves it.
No, I've seen Annie in a stream, so.
Oh, well, there you go. So he's done a very good job. Oh, was it CGI?
Is what you're saying? Is he secretly a cam guy? He just downloaded something off Pornhub and he was just playing it in the background just over and over and over again.
Maybe, maybe. So, that is it for me, Skazz.
That's it.
That is it. So, thank you very much for watching. Up in the TheSuffolkRam.
Skazz.
Prove you're not a human. There are no more humans. Correct. Ha 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 ha. Very good.
Beep. Boop.
So beep boop. Boop, 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 boop. So yes, you guys can join us again on our Christmas episode, which will be on the 19th of December in 2 weeks' time. You can, which will be, you have to join us on YouTube for that for technical reasons. You can find us on our website, randos.co.uk. You can follow us on our games like live streams. You can see me twitch.tv/TheSuffolkRam.
And twitch.tv/Skazzius, SK4ZZI0US.
Yep. And yeah, we can look forward to seeing you guys then. So we'll see you all in a couple of weeks.